Hey everyone, Phil Conway hopping here for this is day 10, day 10 of spring cleaning for your mind. It's part of my 21-day challenge. I'm really thrilled as we this early April sharing these principles with you so that each day we can take one of these principles and really clear in our heart, in our mind, our spirit, body, all three areas moving forward so that way we have the peace of mind and find higher levels of joy no matter where we are and no matter what is happening out around us or outside of us. We can be that change, be the light for others to see how they also can be the light for themselves. A couple of questions and people have asked me when I'm sharing these, where is this coming from? And just to show you this book here, The Science of Personal Achievement by Napoleon Hill, is where the principles are being shared. And also, we talked yesterday about the self-discipline, and ironically enough, we just had two meetings already with our self-discipline camp. At the Napoleon Hill Institute, we do have a self-discipline camp. Imagine what it's like to create that concept of self-discipline. We nurture the habits that move us towards where we want to be. And as we get those habits, we start the day off in a beautiful way where, we're tapping into the quiet of the early morning to really have those, maybe the one action step. Maybe it's three, maybe it's five, not more than five. Those one or two things we get to work on ourselves before the rest of the world is catching up to us and all the what seems to be craziness or the fast pace that's going on around us. Tap into the quiet of the morning and the quiet of our mind and really start the day off well with a great routine, community. Really, it's priceless, the value it offers, how we can apply it in all areas. So to get into accurate thinking, and this is it's a very critical piece and principle to share because as Viktor Frankl wrote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, and I love to share it, myself, that between this stimulus and response is a space. And in that space, we have the power to choose a response. The response that we do choose determines our power and our freedom. No matter what, when Viktor Frankl is a Jewish psychiatrist living in Austria during World War II, he experienced that atrocious tragedy of living through the Holocaust. And what he realized is that no matter how dire the situation, we always have the power of our mind. We always have thoughts. We absolutely fully take into account and responsibility that no one can offend us unless we choose the thought to allow them to offend us. And we can choose to be a victim, and it's always somebody else's fault, play that blame game. Or instead of being a victim, we can choose that, okay, I see what's happening here, and I'm not in agreement, and whatever someone else says, it's not going to become my truth. And so also with that responsibility comes that it can be very dangerous. Thinking can be dangerous, or it could be the most powerful, helpful tool that we have to use in society. So just to share with you a couple of areas when it comes to thinking and how we can harness the power of our thoughts in our mind, we really have to ask ourselves a couple of questions. Is number one, is it true? If someone says something, is it an opinion? Or is there evidence towards it? And then it's a timeline factor. When we look back, what are we looking at? And if we're looking ahead, well, anyone who's not in this particular moment right now is just speculating. Nobody knows what's going to happen in front of us. The only thing we know is right now, what is this awareness? My mentor, Bob Proctor, always carried an hourglass, and he would say, I don't wear a watch because it's always right now. Think about this for a second. Just think. It's always this moment. You ever notice that? We go through the days so quickly, and our subconscious mind is taking us to all the areas that we need to be. And no matter what, it's always right now. So when we can bring presence of awareness now into this moment, and we can get very clear in who we are, very clear on where we're going, and we're always just focused on now. This is self-discipline. There's the will to focus. Will is one of those filters in our conscious intellectual thinking mind that help us to filter and keep focus. It's like a magnifying glass is to the sun. If you take that magnifying glass when the sun is shining, that light beam, that energy, that heat that you feel becomes more intensified. Well, that's what the will does. And the will is a very powerful one of 6 intellectual faculties that we have that serve us so that we serve others. And accurate thinking, it's really the idea of, is something that somebody says or something that we think as we're thinking, is this hypothesis based on what I observed in the past and what I'm speculating to be in the future? And in science, everything is really a scientific method. It's about having the theory and having that experiment and noticing a certain reaction that's going to happen given the circumstances. So we have to ask ourselves, what if the circumstances are always different? How can we say that what happened in the past will always happen, as historians say? Yet it gives us an insight and awareness how we can be, because if we're always growing and getting better, or are we choosing the thoughts that allow us to always be dying? Again, that choice is there, and it's up to you, it's up to me, it's up to all of us to determine what is it that we determine as a way of being. Are things going to be subjective, which each person's perspective notices? Will it be an objective truth? Some of the objective truths, things like the Earth spins on its axis as it orbits the sun. The sun will always rise in the east. That's an objective. That's going to be true no matter where we are. And the 4 seasons, well, here in the north, we experience those 4 seasons, and sometimes it feels like only summer or winter. Yet other parts of the world, the varying degrees among the seasons are different because of where they are and how weather patterns go. So here's 7 rules I'll share with you for being an accurate thinker. And if creating the discipline is something that you'd really like to get started, if you know somebody who says, I really like to start my day off in a great way that it's more powerful and adds punch to the day, the Self-Discipline Camp is an amazing place to start, and contact me for more. But here we are with the 7 rules for an accurate thinker. We have one and never accept opinions of other people as being facts until we learn that the source of those opinions and satisfied yourself to the accuracy. How accurate was the opinion? Was it something that was observed? Was it something that was projected? Is it something that's speculated? Are we speculating that a person or a group or an organization is going to do something when in fact we don't know? Yet this is where we talk about too, harnessing different fibers of truths, each truth being true in itself, but how we bundle that together and how do we speculate that. This is where accurate thinking starts to come in. And see, it's not a measure of intelligence. We all have the intelligence. The question is, what are we doing to nurture and strengthen our intelligence? And there's multiple intelligences, perhaps 8, perhaps 12, but we won't get into that at this moment. We're just right now talking about the concept of accurate thinking. And then the second rule would be, remember that free advice, no matter from whom it is received, will be the closest examination before it's acted upon is safe. So generally speaking, advice is worth exactly what it costs, and it's coming from the perspective and the opinion of the person expressing it. And here's a question too, when you want to say, what's the root behind that person? You want to go further. What is the root behind the thinker, behind the thinker, behind the person? Yeah, I know that sounds so crazy. Is that who's the thinker behind the thinker, behind the thinker, behind the thought that comes to me? It's pretty deep. So number three, alert yourself immediately when you hear anyone speaking of others in discourteous or slanderous spirit. What's the intention of someone talking negative about someone? Remember, we had to talk about positive mental attitude. We have a choice. We want to choose to have a negative mental attitude, or do we want to choose to have the positive mental attitude? Attitude really being the composite of what is it that we're thinking, plus what are our feelings in the subconscious mind, the emotional part of our mind, and the habits, all three together align. And then when we ask others for information, do not disclose to them that what you wish the information to be. But people have the bad habit of trying to please under circumstances. So is someone just trying to please because they're talking about what they think that you might want to hear? Think about it in our relationships, coworkers, friends, your spouse, your partner in life, your family. Do we share only what we think that they would like to hear because we want to be nice? Why is it that we want to be nice? And are we being nice and kind if we aren't accurately thinking? And then at the same time, we don't have to be concerned with one of the six ghosts of fear, the fear of criticism, by not allowing ourselves to be judged and to operating from our heart. We won't judge other people. We'll simply be aware they have different perspectives. And then we have to, number five, remember that anything that exists anywhere throughout the universe is capable of proof. And when no such proof is available, it's safe to assume that nothing exists. Number six, one of the great unexplainable miracles consists of the fact that both truth and falsehood, no matter by what means they're expressed, there's a silent invisible means of identifying them as such. So the intuitive faculty enables us to sense what's false and what's true, our gut. We have an intuitive faculty, again, along with the will, part of our filter, what we pass the gut test, what feels light, what feels more powerful, what feels forced, and what feels suppressed. If something feels suppressed, it's not going to be something that really is true. It's going to be someone else thinking. And then seven, we want to establish the habit of asking, how do you know? So is it true? How do you know? These questions can help us to process internally as well as help others to process. So this way, through 9 billion people, everybody having a unique perception and perspective, how do we blend those together? Because it's really the power of diversity, each person being uniquely who they are. And through that power, we get unity. Through diversity, there is unity. Through unity, there's even higher levels of power. And as we're all, commingling together in harmony, in freedom, the more personal freedom that we have, the more personal freedom we allow others to have. We don't have to have those fears of failure, fear of poverty. We don't have to have fear of being criticized and judged. We don't have to have a fear of liberty. We all have the power to do what we want to do, be where we want to be, when we want to be. And success is that progressive realization, that destination, that journey that we're going on, which is service to humanity. And with all of that, we get more peace of mind and we live at higher levels of joy. And we're not trying to play a victim or see others play a victim. We help to shift the thought with accurate thinking. So this way, everybody is thriving together. So that was day 10 in this 21-day challenge, the 10th principle, accurate thinking. So I will just leave you with, hey, instead of saying how you doing, how are you thinking today? Let me know, how do you keep accurate thinking with you, and to tolerate what others say and help them to have more accurate thinking, not by telling them what to do, helping them discover for themselves. I'm grateful to share this time with you.